Citizens First President Harry KALABA, thank you so much for making time to speak with us tonight on this day.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on your prestigious program. Thank you.
You've left UKA. Why?
Well, I think the decision to leave UKA was never my decision. It was not a personal thing. The decision to leave UKA was arrived at by the Central Committee, which sat on the 15th of March. They decided that the Citizens First was going to move out and re-strategize on how they were going to run the year 2025. In fact, the Central Committee was very emphatic on that point, that they asked me as chair to even excuse myself, given the fact that I was so inclined to being in UKA. And they accused me, and I use the word accused me, because I don't believe really that that was the position. They accused me of being blind because I was so into UKA, and so they thought that they too needed to have their views very clearly spelled out. So they asked me to lead the Central Committee, and they debated amongst themselves, and they reached the conclusion that 31st March was going to be the end of being in the alliance. I was supported into UKA by the Citizens First Central Committee, and I've been recalled from UKA by the Citizens First Central Committee. We push on as a party.
Did they give reasons for why this decision was made?
Yes, they did. Among the main reasons they gave was the fact that they were failing to make decisions. Remember, under UKA, we're going for one common candidate, and that you could not choose a candidate as a party without UKA saying this is the way it should be. So they felt that was derailing them. They wanted to make sure that they felt they were the ones making the final decisions, that when they settle for a candidate, it should not be me telling them, first wait, I have to go and consult my colleagues. That they didn't like. There were so many positions also that they could not just come out as a political party and say this is the way we are going to do it as Citizens First, because we needed to always move in tandem with our colleagues in UKA. And again, the Central Committee felt that was slowing them down. There are issues of parliamentary candidates. There are colleagues that want to stand in certain constituencies. And I told them, you can't do this without consulting UKA. And they said, no. We have got people that have been working in those areas. And I think this UKA thing for us as Citizens First is not to our advantage for now. We feel that the party will be losing its momentum. It will lose its steam. I think we need to make our party stronger, be in touch with the grassroots. And then if there is any hope of being in any alliance in future, sometime next year, then we can reconsider. But for now, the Central Committee in its wisdom thinks that the Citizens First should be on its own.
Are you admitting tonight, President KALABA, that at the time that your party was in UKA, UKA was not in touch with the grassroots?
Well, I would not say that. I think that would be a very strong statement to make. What I would just say myself was that, of course, there were certain things that could not be done as it should be done in an alliance. There were certain gaps that needed to be filled up. Remember, working in an organization is not like working in a particular political party alone. UKA was consisting of several political parties, different manifestos, They all had different visions of how they want to do their governance issues when they come into government. And so for us as Citizens First, we thought that we should first of all plant our manifesto on the ground. We should sell our vision to the Zambian people and see how that vision can materialize when we get into government.
At the time that you joined the United Kwacha Alliance, you mentioned to the Zambian people that it's the people that have called for this alliance. It's the people that have said you must be stronger together. Are you telling the Zambian people tonight, President KALABA, that at the time that you are with your colleagues in UKA, you're not stronger together? That's why you decided to leave this alliance.
Remember, Andrew, I've given you reasons that the Central Committee advanced in their departure or breaking ranks with UKA. Yes, the population out there feels that the opposition will be stronger together. And I still believe that it is true that we need to bury our differences and insist on our strengths as political parties if we are to make a meaningful impact going into next year. But that is not going to be done to the detriment of your own political party. We first of all have to survive as a political entity. We first of all must be citizens first. We must be strong first before we even start talking about alliances, because it will not do to be weak as citizens first and then go to a bigger alliance when you are weak, when your structures are not there. I'm coming from Lufwanyama. I'm happy to report, Andrew, that the Citizens First is sticking in Lufwanyama. I was in Eastern Province the other time. I was in Nyimba. I'm happy to tell you that our structures in Nyimba are firing in all cylinders. You know, I was talking to our team in Imbala this morning. I'm happy to tell you that our teams in Imbala are firing in all cylinders. This is what we should take now to a bigger alliance. If at all we belong to a bigger alliance in future, we need to take credibility there. We need to take strength there. Otherwise, it will not do, Andrew, to sit here and just say we belong to this big alliance. We don't go in mobilization. We are not doing by-elections. We are not doing anything to strengthen our political parties. Then we are basically saying we are giving a blank check to the failed regime of the UPND. And the Citizens First is not prepared to go that direction.
You mentioned, President KALABA, that you've been approached by the Tonse Alliance for your party to join them. Tell us about this invitation.
Look, I've not mentioned, I think it was posted by the Tonse Alliance spokesperson. He's the one who said that invited me. And I did confirm during our press briefing last Wednesday that yes, the Citizens First has been approached, like we've been approached in the past. I also told the country, and even now I'm not ashamed to tell you that before President Lungu left for Johannesburg for his medical reviews, he and I spent some time together to discuss the issue of the Citizens First going into an alliance with the Tonse Alliance. And I did tell the president at that time that the CF right now is not willing to, or is not available to join Tonse because we already belong to an alliance that time called UCA. And remember, the principles of UCA at the time were that they did not allow dual membership. If you belong to UCA, you can't belong to any other alliance. But President Lungu understood. Again, 2 days later, we went to see the late Edith Nawakwa at her residence, and the president again re-invited me. So the invitation that President Sean Tembo brought again to tell me that the former president again was re-inviting me to Tonse was not new, because that has already been said. But as I have said myself, we in the Citizens First will make sure that we work with our colleagues in Tonse. Tonse is a very progressive grouping. We will work with them. Side by side, we shall coexist.
So now that you've left UCA, now that the Central Committee has decided for you to leave UCA, are we seeing an official joining of your party into Tonse, or perhaps you're only going to partner with them on issues of interest between the two parties?
Yes, for now, Andrew, we are only going to partner with the Tonse Alliance on issues of mutual interest. That we will do. Just like we partner with our colleagues in the NDC, President Chagwa, just like we partner with our colleagues in RDC, President Robert Chansa, just like we partner with our colleagues in NED, President Mwenya, and so on and so forth. It's the same way we're going to partner with our colleagues in Tonse on matters of national importance, matters of the Constitution, because it's important that we are seeing there are some things that are bipartisan. There are things that don't call for you to stick to your political party and your manifesto. The issues of the Constitution, the issues of good governance, matters which are hinging on the Bill of Rights, these are not issues that you can say, no, for us, our manifesto says this, because your manifesto must be standing on those firm principles. So therefore, for us as CF, we want to go out there and mobilize. We want to reach out. You know, strictly speaking, Andrew, we are only remaining with about 10 months before the elections start, because according to the electoral calendar of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, in March next year, which is only about 10 months from now, they are asking us to begin asking our councillors to file in nominations. And April is for members of parliament. May, it is for us presidential candidates. So clearly speaking, there's no time to play politics. This is time now to be with the people, to be on the ground, and sell our manifesto that the Citizens First is the party of choice.
You're right when you say there's 10 months left before the elections, but you've had concerns that there's no single political party at the moment, opposition political party, that could single-handedly beat the UPND in the next election. Is the Citizens First going to consider joining forces with others, especially if you're looking forward to beat the UPND?
The Citizens First remains open to hold hands with various political groupings of interests. And as I was telling you, we said we will join hands with our colleagues in Tonse. We will join hands with our colleagues in NDC. We will join hands with our colleagues in NAID. We will join hands with all political parties who have got a vision and who are interested in ensuring that Zambia is taken to the next paradigm. But that does not mean that the Citizens First will lose its identity, even as we go towards elections. We have to agree, how do we cooperate? How do we coexist so that we do these things? And remember, for us in the Citizens First, we are not doing this simply because we have to remove Mr. Hakainde Hichilema from office. We are fundamentally seeking to change the status quo. You know, it is not changing from one party to another party. The Zambians have tried that before. What Zambians now want is a system that will respond to their needs. What Zambians now are looking for is a political grouping or leaders that are going to heal the divide. We are more broken than we were before, even at the time of independence. We are more divided than we were at the time that the UPND was coming into government. Therefore, for us as Citizens First, we believe that it is important to remove Mr. Hakainde Hichilema without just thinking that we are coming together just to remove him. Because the Zambian people demand much more than just removing him. They need a leadership that is clear with its agenda. And the Citizens First is supremely confident that we are on the agenda of clarity.
So many issues have happened the past 2 weeks. President KALABA, the Minister of Justice, in March did go to Parliament to present a roadmap and presented 13 proposed constitutional amendments to amend the Constitution before the 2026 elections. Let's pick it up from there. Does the Citizens First support the need for our Constitution to be amended before the next election?
No. Those are jokes that they're doing, those UPND guys. They are literally joking. Where were they in 2022? Where were they in 2023? Where were they in 2024?
They've mentioned very clear.
At what point did they realize that they needed to do these amendments, Andrew? At what point?
The President answered that question. He said he was working to clinch the IMF deal. He was working around the clock to ensure that...
Who tells the President, Andrew, who tells the President that you can only do one task at a time? Who tells him that you can't multitask? That is why this man, we have to kick him out of office. Because he doesn't understand what governance is all about. To govern a country does not mean that when I am pursuing one issue with the IMF, then I cannot deal with what is happening in Chadiza when there's a flood. You don't govern a country like that. That is how limited he is. And that is how his misunderstanding of governance has brought us where we are today. What should happen to a president is that even when I was foreign minister myself, I would be in New York attending the General Assembly, but I would still be working on documents to do with the Zambia's paper on SADC. You know, you multitask. But our president doesn't have that capacity. He is telling you, he is conceding that I don't belong in this office of president where I'm seated. Let people like Harry KALABA, who know how to multitask, come and take over this seat, not the way he's doing it. A constitution, the process of amending the constitution, because that man was in opposition for how many years, Andrew? The man was in opposition for 23 years. What was he doing in opposition apart from just criticizing? He should have understood that one day God might give me a chance to be president. What are the issues in the constitution that are not clear? Where are the gray areas? So that when I take over governance, I'll be able to say, while we are doing the IMF bailout plan, I'll also be working out on clause 1, clause 2, or clause 5 of the constitution. He didn't do that. Now let me tell you the truth. Because what he's telling you is us lying, like he has been making so many lies. The president clearly knows that he's going to lose the elections next year. What does he do? He wants to again begin fidgeting around with the emotions of the women and the youths. Remember, he announced this thing on Women's Day, on the 8th of March in Kasama, when he said, we are going to have a new we're going to make amendments and we have agreed. We never agreed. That is the point of departure. He lied because we never agreed. Andrew, you are old enough to understand that even when you were at University of Zambia, you knew that you had what you people are calling the CRC. That has been the modus operandi that Zambia has been accustomed to. The Constitutional Review Commission would be appointed. They would go around and get views from the Zambian public, maybe a 6 months period. When they do that, then that's when the amendment process will be taken to Parliament. Now they wake up from Community House, they come to you, to TV, and they say, we are amending the non-contentious clauses. I ask the question, what is not contentious? And I ask the question, you are saying you want to empower more women. You have 116 districts in this country. Out of 116 districts, you have appointed 116 district commissioners. Out of those 116 district commissioners, only 22 are women. The rest are men. Out of those men or 22 women, none of them is a youth. Why didn't you appoint, out of the 116 district commissioners, why didn't you appoint a youth? There you go. The president also had the chance to appoint his cabinet. Even the Ministry of Youth, which should be managed by youths, who did he appoint? He appointed that guy with beards. Is it Elvis? Is he a youth? He's not a youth. What was wrong with him looking for somebody who's youthful to be put in the Ministry of Youth and Sports? You've got the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. I don't know what they call it now. He goes and appoints Madame Doreen Mwamba. It's granted that is his position, but that should have been a place for the disabled, because that's a ministry. Dr. Kaunda, when he was president, he appointed the late Lazarus Tembo, blind guy, he was a musician. He appointed him there so that the disabled would identify themselves with him. But this president has not done that. Zambia has got 47 missions abroad. Out of the 47 missions, the president has only appointed 10 women. 37 are men. No youth whatsoever. So when I hear people coming and saying, no, he loves the youth, if there's somebody who has got no regard for the youths, if there's somebody who has got a low opinion of the youths, and who thinks the youth cannot think through his ideas or his machinations, it is President Akainde Hichilema. Because he has failed to honor what he promised the youths, and now he says, I want to empower you so that you can go to Parliament. You were nominating 10 members of Parliament. He was nominating 10 members of Parliament.
Precisely the
Where are the youths?
Precisely the point that he's trying to bring across, because he says that there must be a predictable system that will allow for anybody who comes into the position of presidency to ensure that these frameworks are already in place. If the Constitution predicts that there's going to be a certain number of youths that are supposed to be in this particular position, we're going to be guided by the Constitution, not by the goodwill of a human being. And so the president says, I'm very passionate about you, about the youth, I'm very passionate about women, and that's why we need a predictable system that will allow for these people to be there, even when I'm not there.
No, look, it's not even about him being there, because he has messed up things ever since he came in the system. Let me tell you the truth. Article 159 of our Constitution, I think it is very instructive, because the article talks about the president balancing his appointments, regionally, sexes, and so on and so forth. He has not even done that. He has not looked at who he's appointing. He has not. Is this when he's reading the provisions of Article 159, or it is deliberate the president did not want to just take heed of what was expected of him? Because if he was serious with what is before him, the Constitution has already given him an opportunity. That is why, out of all the 156 members of Parliament, he's given an opportunity to nominate 10, so that in case no youths have made it to Parliament, to the House, he can bring them to the House. In case no women have made it to Parliament, he can bring them to the National Assembly. But he has not taken advantage of those provisions. As they say, Andrew, a bad carpenter blames his tools. The president has failed. And the youth should not even listen to him. The youth should not even listen to him because he's just wasting their time.
You had mentioned that you wondered where what the president mentioned came from during Women's Day when he said, we've all agreed to amend the constitution. But here is the position of the government and the minister when she was given her position, when she was given the roadmap in Parliament. She says there's no need for us to do broader consultations because there have been a number of constitutional reviews that have been done in the past. She mentioned the Chona Constitutional Review Commission of 1973. She mentioned the Vunga Constitutional Commission. She mentioned the Monakato Constitutional Review Commission, the Mongomba Constitutional Review Commission, the Zalomis-led Electoral Reform Technical Committee, the National Constitutional Conference, the Aneos Lungu, the National Dialogue Forum, just recently in 2019. All these Constitutional Commission reviews did have issues that were very consistent. And if there's one issue that was very consistent in all these reviews, President KALABA, was that the young people needed to be in Parliament. The disabilities, the people living with disabilities and the women ought to be in Parliament. This is a basis of why the President was saying, we've agreed.
Look, if you are going to take what Princess Kasuna was saying, did you expect Princess Kasuna to go to Parliament and say nothing? Did you expect Kasuna to go to Parliament and say nothing when the boss has already declared on the 8th of March that they had already agreed on that process? She had to come up with something. The truth of the matter is, whenever you are fidgeting with the Constitution, the people must be involved first. And who are the stakeholders? You are stakeholders. The political parties are stakeholders. Laws are stakeholders. The non-government organizations, the church are all stakeholders. The chiefs, so on and so forth. All these stakeholders have said no to this process which they want to bring. Is this the most urgent thing that they're supposed to be dealing with? In my view, if you ask me, the most important thing they should be dealing with now is how to bring down the cost of mealie meal. The most important thing that they should be dealing with is how to make sure that fertilizer reaches our farmers and that our farmers stop sharing fertilizer on plates. The most important thing that the president should be working on is to see how he can stabilize Indeni so that Indeni can begin getting the value of its significance that it should have economically as opposed to what is happening now. He has totally failed. He goes and he picks things that people don't want and he wants them to be very important. What we want, he's not interested. The president must know that fidgeting around with a constitution of a country is costly. A constitution of a country is not like a constitution of the UPND, where he can go and fidget around with his brother Imenda Batuki and they can go and convince the Central Committee. That is not the way you deal with a country. This is a country. And you have got 8 months before the elections. Instead of dealing with the issues of load shedding that you should be dealing with, you don't want to deal with those issues. You go and resurrect things you shouldn't. No, this man surprises me, This president of mine really surprises me. This man, we are talking about issues of the Public Order Act. He said when he comes into government, he was going to do away with the Public Order Act. You remember, Andrew? When he comes into government, what does he do? He goes and brings the death penalty thing, and he calls diplomats, he calls everybody and says, we are abolishing the death penalty. Who told him the death penalty was an issue even before the elections? Who was talking about it? Nobody was talking about it, because from Dr. Kaunda's time up to President Lungu's time, none of them have ever enforced that death penalty clause. It was there in our statutes, but they never used it. So how do you make it an issue all of a sudden? It's all distractions. It's what he wants. Mr. Ichilema really wants to be in government. At all costs, he wants to win the elections. But he's not telling us why he should win those elections. What has he done to warrant him win those elections? Nothing he has done.
We'll get to what he has done. But I want to use a term that you had used earlier on, President KALABA. You said for a president to be a president, he must have the capacity to multitask.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with him multitasking now when he can work on load shedding, he can work on the cost of living whilst he is driving the issue of constitutional amendment? Why must you say that the economy now is priority when earlier on you mentioned that a president must multitask?
That's what I'm saying. I said, if I were him, inconsequential issues, matters that are not really bringing public interests, like just generating from your head, you just say constitutional amendments. Nobody complained about the constitution. Nobody was complaining. None of us was complaining. Bring an article where I went on TV, damn on TV, and I said we want amendments to be done before the elections. There was nothing like that. What we have been telling him is stop selling electricity to Namibia. We are tired of seeing Namibians coming in this country to thank us for the electricity that they're getting from our country. It pains us to see them thanking us for the electricity we are giving them, which we ourselves don't have. It's painful. We have told them, stop selling power to DRC Congo. Stop selling power to Malawi. Stop selling power to all these countries selling power to, because we don't have the power. We are giving South Africa every time 100 megawatts of power from 06 to 20 hours when we are in darkness here. And when we tell you cancel those agreements, you're saying you can't cancel. When I become president, the first business that we are going to do is to ensure that we stop these reckless contracts that the UPND government has entered into. We are going to ensure that Zambians begin enjoying the electricity that they have. That's why we have said, let's finish the nuclear plant, which we have in Chagwa. That nuclear plant has got the capacity to produce 20,000 megawatts of power. Why don't you complete it? He's not interested in that. And then when we tell you here, Andrew, to say this man is not multitasking, you said no, he was dealing with the IMF bailout plan. Why is he even wasting our time going to the IMF? Because if I were him, I would not have given the tax holidays he has given the mines. He has given them 5 years tax breaks, tax holidays. He has reduced our mineral royalty tax from 6 to 3%. All angles pointing to the fact that he's reducing our resource envelope in this country. What type of a person is this? You reduce your resource envelope, you lose well over 400 million or 4 billion in terms of revenue that you have given up, and then you go to ask to the IMF to give you 1.2 billion. See, he's joking. He's not serious.
The power of perspective brings about fresh thinking. Your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. So it's not what you look at that matters, but how you see it. Always look with fresh eyes. Vatra. Hydrate. Celebrate.
You get clean and affordable energy? How can you avoid plastic in your daily life? What kind of jobs are there for you in a green economy? Eco Africa shows you people and ideas that improves our life and the world we live in. Get inspired. Eco Africa.
All right, class, what is 9 times 9?
Teacher me.
Sammy, 9 times 9.
When the belly's rumbling, hunger's coming, Uncle Joe will give you something filling with a natural flavor. Uncle Joe is in there, smooth, shaky Joe. Shaky Joe, fill yourself with goodness.
With so many entertaining shows on our kids' channels, there's something exciting for all ages. No matter what GoTV package you're on, it's your ticket to the GoTV Fun Zone.
Buckle up, please.
Enjoy shows carefully curated for all ages, all in a safe and family-friendly environment.
That sounds sweet.
Welcome to the mirrors.
So stay with GoTV, your ticket to the GoTV fun zone at home and on the go with GoTV Stream. GoTV, love it.
Romeo, yeah, te kubraga ninterera, nimpopoga kumwera kumkanda. Umutu kulele maskini ruti nimbekere ngentanda. Sikiri tini Romeo, pure glycerin, idionse muchipi. Mild and gentle, protect your skin, it's affordable. No crack pankanda na Romeo. Nitela skin tone na Romeo. But soft and tender na Romeo. Shamona po glycerin better than Romeo. Kopala queen Romeo. I'm a bit of pew queenie Romeo. Zaven Romeo. Fenta no fenta.
Omubamabamo watulile ngoma. Consistency enables one to achieve his or her goals. But that responsibility comes with its own challenges.
When that time of the month comes, it's never easy, but I must be ready.
Ukunkala kwangu pano padera, nosebenzera abana. Masiku yanangu, yomvwika bwino. Lomba yakini, umvwika lini bwino.
They say you look after wealth, but knowledge looks after you.
In all my years as a wife and as a mother,
something always had my back in painful times.
For fevers, headaches, muscle aches, and backaches, the recommendation is
Panadol.
Panadol. Pharmanova, saving lives since 1980.
I give my life, so let's begin with yours. Grow up, my child. I'll do my best to guard your flame. Live out your dream. The world is there for you to take. Grow up, my child. Enjoy your life and feel the joy.
Delight baby cereal. Great start for little tummies.
The president says he's not preoccupied with winning the next election. He's preoccupied with creating systems that are going to live beyond him. And that's why part of the proposals in this proposed constitutional amendment is to amend Article 52, Part 6, that mandates the Electoral Commission to cancel an election and require the filing of fresh nominations where a candidate gets to resign. Don't you think, President KALABA, this is a contentious issue that must be dealt with before the next election?
Why can't it? Look, I think what you're forgetting, Andrew, also, is that this is the same constitution. Article 52 was there, even in 2021 when I was standing as president. It's not a new article which was brought yesterday. It was there. And Mr. Kainde Hichilema won the elections, even when Article 52 was there. Why should he create a storm in a teacup? Why is he shouting wolf when he has just seen a puppy? It's because the president has an agenda, and the agenda he has is a bad agenda. It is to entrench himself in that office, and he's using such kind of clauses to hoodwink the public. We have said, leave the constitution the way it is, you, Mr. Hichilema. That's what we have told him. Leave it, concentrate on what is affecting the people of Zambia, not what you're doing. And power has gone. And he's talking about Article 52, he's talking about all these things. All these things are telling you that the president has got his plan of action, his management of things is just below par.
Well, other stakeholders like the Democratic Party have supported President Hakainde Hichilema's call to amend the constitution. In fact, the president of the DP mentioned just recently on an interview that Article 52 has a potential to cause a constitutional crisis if it's not dealt with before the next election. You don't think that there'll be potentially people that would play around with elections by resigning or withdrawing their nomination a day or a week before the election, and this would potentially be harmful to you people that have already paid and have campaigned?
Andrew, this is not a new phenomenon. Again, I'm telling you that it is in 2021 that we had 16 presidential candidates.
None of you resigned.
None of us resigned. Even when we knew that the provisions of Article 52 were in place, none of us resigned. The only one who would want to derail elections is the president himself if he tells us, unless he's telling us here that he's planning on withdrawing while we are midway in the elections. If he tells us that, then fine. But we were aware ourselves. I stood in 2021 as a presidential candidate. I came out third in those elections out of 16 contenders. And now I'm going to come out number one in the next elections. Nobody is going to withdraw. The only one who has got intentions of withdrawing is Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, because he's the only one who's talking about it. Why didn't it happen in 2021? I think for me, let's just be serious for once. Let's do these amendments. And anybody who is aspiring for office of president, we want to take it that they are patriotic citizens. We take it that the people that love the country deeply, and they're not going to come into the presidency for jokes. They are coming in because they feel a sense of duty to their country. And so they're not going to come in there to play politics. That's not the time for politics. That's the time for national patriotism. And I believe myself that you cannot pay your 100,000 kwacha and then just choose to say, no, I'm going to withdraw and won't participate in the elections. I don't think anybody will do that. So unless there's an irresponsible person who wants to play politics all the time, they are going to begin abusing the constitution, because it's not only Article 52 which can be abused. There are several clauses in the constitution that can be abused. But people don't abuse those clauses because of their high sense of responsibility. Anybody fame up here will take the court to national duty very, very seriously. And that cannot be the point of contention. Mr. Hakainde Hichilema knew about this in 2021. That's why I'm telling you that why, if this was a big issue, why didn't he raise it just after he won the elections? He's playing games, Andrew. Open your eyes.
He had mentioned when he was opening Parliament that there's a possibility that a president can stay in office longer than the stipulated time frame because of provisions such as Article 52, where contenders consistently pull out of the election, and this will create an ongoing thing that will make this president prolong their stay in office. When you mentioned that, President KALABA, I remember very vividly, you said he wants to become a dictator. But this man wants to heal or wants to close the gaps.
He wants to become a dictator or is a dictator?
He wants to close the gap so that these issues that he talks about, these issues that are a possibility, will not happen. Don't you think he's been a responsible president by closing the gaps that are in the constitution?
Look, I've told you that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is playing with the people of Zambia. By insisting on these clauses, he's playing with the people of Zambia. He should leave the constitution alone. The Zambian people have told him, through all the stakeholders, they have told him, leave the constitution alone. This thing that he's trying to bring today, it was part of Bill 10. Why did he support it when it was part of Bill 10? This was part of Bill 10. Why did he reject it that time? Why is he bringing it now here? That tells you how insincere a man is. Because if he really wanted to do away with most of the things that is bringing back now, he should have supported Bill 10. But he was one of those that was vehemently opposed to Bill 10. Why? Because he did not understand, like most of the times. He doesn't even understand these provisions. He doesn't take time to assimilate them. He just thinks this is going to work for me. You cannot run a country based on what you think is going to work for you. Constitution not to kana Andrew. Go and tell him where to patikisha waka in the ichidema. Not wakanina.
The Constitution, President KALABA, in Article 73, Article 101 and Article 103 provides that a parliamentary by-election petition and presidential election petition shall be heard within 90 days and 14 days of the filing of the petition, respectively. Remember very vividly that this was a big issue in 2016 when President Hakainde Hichilema lost elections, and we had issues of how to count the 14 days. Does it include, does it include Saturday and Sunday, and all those issues. In this petition, in this, proposed constitutional amendment, he wants to make it very clear. Don't you think that perhaps we might find ourselves in this similar situation when you don't agree with the elections of 2026, when you lose President KALABA and you don't agree
I'm
with
not
the results?
losing. Don't stop cursing me. I'm not losing.
In an event that...
It is the HH who's losing the election because the Zambian people are fed up of him.
In an event that you don't
He's
agree.
the one losing.
In an event that you don't agree with the election.
It is him who's going to go to court.
Yes,
and
but
for us to make sure that the provisions of the law are going to allow him to go and petition. And why should he petition when he has put us in this load shedding which we are going through? Why should he even petition when he has failed to bring down the price of millennium? He told us himself with his mouth that was going to reduce the price of millennium from, is it 127, 147 to 50 kwacha? He has not done that. He was telling us about the formula Y minus X formula. Why hasn't he applied it in the management of the energy sector? So he has got no business going around courts to petition when he loses in 2026. And he's going to lose, and he should just behave himself, and he's not going to petition. And even if he petitions, it's his constitutional right. And the time frame is very clear. What he should do is not to amend the constitution. What he should do is to go to the court and ask for a clear interpretation of when the counting of the days should start. Why do you have to amend? Just go and get the court, the court interpretation. How many things are we going to be amending? That's why we go to court, so the courts tell us what is the meaning of this. Then the court will interpret for you. Do you have to amend? Do you have to amend? You don't have to amend.
The UPND today is quoted in the paper stating that they will not promise more. They work on the things that they've promised. Recently we heard from State House and the party itself that they've achieved more than 90% of what they promised the Zambian people. What is your stance on what they're saying that they've achieved 90% of what they promised the Zambian people?
You yourself seated here, Andrew. Have they achieved 90%? Because some questions that you people ask, me I can also ask you. When you heard that statement from those guys at State House, did you believe them when they said that they have achieved 90%? Those are the people who should be dragging to court over this same Cyber Security Act that they have brought into place, because the UPND has achieved nothing from where we sit. What the UPND has achieved is just to have businesses for those guys who are in power and to connect themselves and their relatives and their party cadres, that's all. The UPND has brought misery in this country. People have become poorer as a result of the UPND. Here, you and I here at our secretariat, power has gone. Don't you think of those guys in the shanty compounds, in Garden Compound, in Chilenje, in Livala, who are running barber shops, who are depending on this electricity to do their business? What do you think of that woman who's running a salon and then power is just going like that? You are giving it to your friends in Namibia who are thanking you every day. What does it mean for those people that are depending on power to do their welding? Very sad, eh? And we are here talking about Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and how they have achieved their 90% in terms of election promises. Obviously, Zambians themselves have answered that question, that this man told us that when he comes at 10 hours, at 14 hours, the dollar will collapse. What is the dollar today to the kwacha? Almost 30 kwacha. Fuel, he said when he comes back, fuel will come because middlemen will be removed. Fuel will come back, will come low. Has it come low? It has not come low. He told us himself that when he becomes president, he is going to make sure that he's going to do away with a cyber security bill, because it was infringing upon the young people who are using the internet for businesses, who are using the internet for communication, that is not a space to play with. What has he done today? He has brought it into force. Is that what you call 90% achievement? If that is 90%, you should be very careful. If you give them another 5 years to do that 10% which is remaining, you'll see how poverty looks like in this country. They'll be the only ones eating and all of us will just be drinking water. We are suffering in this country. Suffering too much. And anybody who can talk about 90 days, even during the time of Zelensky, there were those who were saying that Zelensky has done a lot for Zambia and that Zelensky, nobody can beat his records. That spirit of Zelensky has not died. It is still in those guys at State House surrounding the president, telling Zelensky what he wants to hear in the ears. That spirit of Zelensky, we come against it in the blood of Jesus Christ. And we call fire upon that spirit.
They say that they've increased CDF from 1.6 million to over 30 million. They've brought free education. They've employed thousands of civil servants. They've created a peaceful environment where the citizens first can go and campaign. You were mentioning here that you're coming from Lufonyama. You can go anywhere wearing your party regalia and nobody's going to harass you. They've widened the democratic space. All those were part of their campaign promises, and according to them, they've ticked them. That's where the 90% is coming from.
Andrew, the cadres that we have now are even more severe than the cadres that we had in the past. They are serious cadres. You know very well, Andrew, that we have had challenges with cadres all over the place. In Chimbamilonga, we had cadres harassing us during the time of elections, and spearheaded by the Minister of Sports. You know very well that we have applied for rallies several times in this country. We should have had a rally last week, on Saturday, in Shwangando. They refused to give us the authority to go ahead, citing limited police officers because of the national registration exercise going on. We also applied for a rally in Senga Hill. They have refused to give us. We applied for a rally in Chinsali, they have not given us. We applied for a rally in Nakonde, they have not given us. So, is that what you call working hard and giving us the space that we need as opposition or as citizens first? Even in Lufwanyama, the officer in charge stopped us from walking. He told us, stop walking, you are doing road shows. Our vehicle had a problem. So we parked, they were changing the tire. So as they were changing the tire, I told the colleagues, let us start walking, they'll find us at the venue. We will not wait for that vehicle for them to be changing the tire, and then we were walking, going to the venue. The police officer comes with the vehicle and tells us, why are you walking? I told him, because we've got legs. He said, no, you cannot be walking because the permit you've been given is for you to just go and address the rally there. So I told him, do I have wings to fly for me to reach my place? Because right now, as you can see, our vehicles are changing the tire. So you want me to, how do I reach that place there? So it is that thing that we still have elements in the police who want to exaggerate their role as police officers. We know the police are working under very difficult circumstances under this government. But we're telling them, just perform your role properly. We are a peaceful political party. We want to work with you and make your job easy as police. We know the difficulties you are going through. And amongst those who know among your challenges, I am one of them. I was a civil servant myself. I understand the frustrations in the police service. I understand the challenges in the civil service as a whole. So you have got hope that a person like Harry KALABA is coming as president, because if you are a teacher who has finished a degree and you have not, your salary scale has not changed, KALABA comes, it is changing. If you are a teacher, like you are in Lufwanyama where I'm coming from, you are in a rural area, we have told your citizens first that we'll be giving you 100% of your basic pay as your rural hardship allowance. We have said that. We have told them that even the debt swap, which the PF had started when they heard it from us, you know that, Andre? They heard it from us, quickly they implemented it. That debt swap was conjugated by ourselves in the Citizens First. So we are going to bring back the debt swap because the civil servants are suffering. When you look at the payslip of civil servants, you can feel very bad for them. Most civil servants, if you go to these hospitals during the month end, it's full of civil servants. Instead of them celebrating that they've gotten their payslips, that's when their BP goes up. Why is their BP going up when they get paid? It's because the money they are getting and the encumbrances that they have, the encumbrances are much more than the payslip which they have given them. It is the duty of government to lift that burden from the civil servants, and we'll do it. So when we are doing this thing, and then you, a police officer in charge of Wanyama, as we want to go and address the issues that are important there, you are telling us it's a road show. Don't frustrate us. Encourage us. Those of us who are strong and brave, encourage us so that we can achieve what we should achieve.
As we conclude, President KALABA, I would like to give you a call to action to the Zambian people.
I will tell the Zambian people that you are going through the difficulties as you see them today. President Sata used to say, don't cry for me. Don't. Cry for yourselves. Today, as you and I are seated here, you know the challenges that we are going through in our homes. Most of you are failing to have 3 meals a day. Most of you are failing to manage a 25 kg bag of meal. You have to wait for that ZNS arrangement. We are telling you that there is hope beyond this regime. Hold hands with us in the Citizens First. Let's work together. Let's make this happen and start anew. We are going to make sure that incentives are given to you, the teachers, in the rural areas especially, because you deserve to begin getting as well a duty-free vehicle after 5 years, like we see in some institutions happening. We want to ensure that the nurses, the environmental health specialists, all of you are taken care of. You begin feeling that indeed you are part of the bigger picture of this country. We are here for you, we will speak for you, and we will not fear anybody in our quest to represent you effectively. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful, sir.
Citizens First President KALABA, thank you so much for speaking with us once more.
Very grateful, sir.
Oh, what a bad day. When everything is bright and golden. Bad day. The sun is shining and the mighty morning. Bad day. Without my family in that moment, that day would have been a bad day.
Yeah, everyone's bad day is my bad day. But guess what? When my banja comes together, there are no bad days.
When you are there, you bring the shine. Banja washing powder, the family detergent.
It wasn't even a cheating.
You slept with her. You got her pregnant.
Yes, I cheated.
I beba.
She slapped me.
Wait.
I want the world to know.
It's good to be back on your screens for another exciting season of your favorite show, Love Back Zambia. Are you married?
I'm not officially married. I just stay with someone.
That girl is just more like a sister to me.
What is happening?
Will you stop drinking beer?